Hey, welcome to Street Level Spirituality. This is Hangin with. What I'm going to do is first do a little bit of an astrology overview, just to see what's going on for the holiday, for December primarily. And then we'll go into tarot readings for your personal sign right after that. How are you guys doing? I'm doing pretty good. Just been chilling and thought I'd make some videos for the holiday. So in the spirit of the holidays, we're going to pull an Edgar Cayce card for the overall reading. I did the first 4 videos, Aries, Gemini, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. And then I've been kind of working on my camera setup a little bit, and I rearranged it. So I'm going to go ahead and redo the beginning for the rest of the videos. But anyway, it's the same card that I pulled for them. What do you think about this lighting setup? I think it's better. I had the light glare in my eyes before, and now I redid it. I think it's more moody. Anyway, so our Edgar Cayce card, if you don't know who Edgar Cayce is, he was he's called the Sleeping Prophet, one of the greatest psychics of our modern time. Really interesting fellow. His material is very similar to Kevin Ryerson, who I have Kevin Ryerson's book. I read it on my channel if you want to check that out sometime. Really practical spiritual information, not all like super rainbowy and kind of ungrounded, but really grounded stuff about emotions and life and practicality and how to make the most out of being here when we're in the monkey suit. So anyway, the Edgar Cayce card for the month for everyone is, it's never too late to begin, even in an experience. For life and its experience is a continued and continuous effort. So anyway, so that's the card. And, you know, this has been the theme I've been noticing for the holidays in general with all these readings I've been doing. It's this idea that if we acknowledge ourselves as a spirit, as a spiritual being, then, you know, a spiritual being is not necessarily ever born, so it never dies. And in Gnostic teaching, they teach that, you know, that's kind of the resurrection. The resurrection occurs as we live and as we become aware that we're spirit beings, and as opposed to strictly identifying with the material and then having this feeling that kind of life is this arc, you know, it kind of comes up and descends, and we kind of lose our spirit in that process. You know, we get depressed, we only think about our mortality and death, and we don't really see opportunities on a daily basis, and we can kind of lose some of that pizzazz. So, you know, I like this. It's never too late to begin. So no matter where you are in your life, no matter how much you've been in a rut or stuck in any situation, you always have the opportunity, no matter what your age, to have that inquisitive spirit, because it goes from lifetime to lifetime. You carry that with you. You carry the curiosities, you carry the creativity and the exploration into refining a skill, or, you know, or whatever it is that your soul development is growing towards. So anyway, so it's a continued and continuous effort. So there you go. So today, in the spirit of the holidays, I just would like to promote the message of focusing on your spiritual nature, and that, you know, even though the physical body passes, the spirit body is here and eternal. So let's cultivate that spirit. Let's be curious. I'm doing that with these videos. I've really pushed myself to get back into this type of work and honor who I really am. And I hope that you're honoring yourself also, because it's really important to do that for your own well-being and as a gift to other people. So we can be gifts to each other in our presence. How's that for a holiday message? So anyway, so that's our general Edgar Cayce card for the day. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the astrological aspects going on out there in the world right now, or coming up for the next month, sorry. So we had obviously November had a pretty intense Mercury retrograde cycle. We had some really good, nice Neptune energy from Neptune around the 20th of November. And then as we're moving into December, we have Jupiter leaving Sagittarius and entering Capricorn, which is, of course, where we're going to have the big Pluto Saturn conjunction in January that we're ramping up to, which has to do with secrets being revealed in government, and anything to do with any kind of radical transformation of old arcane structures, This is, government, any, old structures within ourselves that are being broken down. Pluto's going in there and breaking it up. So it's a great time for everybody, but we might see some really big secrets come out in government and things like that starting at the beginning of the year. So Jupiter is leaving Sagittarius, coming into Capricorn. Now, Sagittarius is Jupiter's native home, so it's very much at place there. Not so much in place in Capricorn, but it's going to help this transformation that Saturn and Pluto are going through in Capricorn, because Jupiter is expansion and opportunity, and it can just bring a general sense of goodness around the situation. So that's really nice. It's nice to have that there. And then Jupiter takes about 12 months to transit a sign. So basically it's going to be transiting Capricorn. So if you have Capricorn aspects or are a Capricorn sun, moon, or rising sign, or even other aspects, but primarily those, you're going to notice expanded opportunity in those areas in your chart for the next 12 months. And then let's see. So those are changes in establishment, and Jupiter is going to help smooth that out. And then also, since Capricorn is very much career oriented, Jupiter is going to go in there and really smooth things out and create a lot of opportunities for career in the next 12 months. We have a full moon in Gemini on the 12th of December, and that full moon is aspected by Neptune, which I call Planet Hollywood. And I call it Planet Hollywood because Neptune is that imaginative mind that somebody might use to write a script. It can also be kind of a fantasy world, so you just want to be careful of any kind of deception. That's the shadow side of it, is people can kind of tell stories and kind of make things up, and they're not quite accurate. But on the positive side, this full moon in Gemini is also aspected with Jupiter. Jupiter's coming in and placing itself right between Saturn and Pluto during this full moon. So there's some other areas also, with regards of Venus being there, especially during the holiday, is, be mindful of shopping and your values. So before you go out there into the holiday and start choosing what gifts you're picking, is maybe get a little, touch in with yourself and ask yourself about your values. What do you value? When you're selecting gifts for people, are you taking the time to reflect on their current spiritual state? What could possibly benefit them most? And maybe you want to make something. Maybe you want to make a Christmas card. Take the time to do something a little more mindful. But Venus has a lot to do with values and also material goods. So just research your values a little bit, check in with yourself, and then go out there and choose gifts from the heart and that are beneficial to people if you want to. It's up to you. And then we have Venus moving into Aquarius on December 20th. And so that's going to be a lot of love. There's a general, for instance, for the Gemini full moon, there's like a lot of kind of chattiness and intellectual conversation and connecting with people and just kind of chit-chatting. So that could be a lot of these kind of company parties or Christmas get-togethers or family. Venus going to Aquarius December 20th. Aquarius is more of that group energy, that group mind. So a lot of love in the kind of the group area around other people and all that stuff. So everything's looking pretty good. I think there's a lot of really positive planets coming in between Thanksgiving and Christmas and the holiday this year. And then we have eclipses in December also. So it's the eclipses are doorways, or they're doorways in and doorways out. They're endings and beginnings. Everything looks pretty smooth, but we are ramping up again to that Pluto-Saturn conjunction in January. So just keep that in mind. It can be kind of like on a personal level, it can be kind of a breakdown of the things that have worked for us for a really long time, kind of those deep-rooted systems in ourself. And Pluto's coming in and saying, no, that's not appropriate anymore. It doesn't work anymore. Let's break this system down. Let's take the time to reevaluate it and restructure it. And with a little tug of war of Saturn's responsibility and So there's a little bit of a tug of war there. But anyway, so it'll just give us an opportunity to break down these old patterns that really don't serve us anymore, especially around career and anything structural like that. After December 20th, after Venus goes into Aquarius, we have the solstice on December 21st, and slowly the days will be getting a little bit longer. Longer. So anyway, so that's the kind of the astro forecast for now. And then let's get right into your personal tarot readings for your sign. Hey Leo, welcome to the tarot portion of your reading. I'm going to go ahead and pull also a card for you, an Edgar Cayce card just for you personally. And let's see what mantra we can pick up here. I've been picking up on the energy of Leo really strong, and I already kind of have a pretty strong sense of what's going on with you guys. Which last month was a fantastic opportunity opened up. So I know that you must be celebrating in some manner. Okay, so your Edgar Cayce card is, ye cannot pray, peace, peace, when there is no peace in thine own heart and soul. So if I translate that a little bit to modern English, I could say, if you're kind of praying and proclaiming peace, peace, but there's no peace in your own inner reality, it's not going to really work. So again, that goes back to what we were talking about as far as acknowledging our spiritual nature, and that the journey is really inside ourselves and not necessarily outside of ourselves, and that to cultivate peace in the world, we have to kind of really cultivate that within our own inner reality and not seek kind of control and dominance of our outer experience. So you cannot pray peace, peace when there is no peace in thy own heart and soul. So reminder to keep the journey inward. Okay, so for your tarot reading, let's look at what's going on. Last month, like I said, there was a, it was really your month last month. It's kind of Gemini's month this month simply because of the Gemini full moon, and they just have a lot of really great opportunities moving around and stuff like that. You do too, but last month it was, like you were just a smooth sailing, new opportunities. I have a friend who's a Leo who had a job at a place for a really long time, and he finally, after years and years, moved on to a whole better opportunity, more money, more creativity, more of a professional environment, not dealing with so much crap. And I know that for him it was a really huge relief. So hopefully you've had some sort of movement in your life, some sort of huge relief, whether that's physically out there in the world or within yourself or whatever that might be. But what I'm seeing here is, I pulled your kind of initial focal cards here, is a kind of a reason to celebrate, a reason to kind of come together, and a little bit of reprieve, which is fantastic. So I think that there maybe there was a breakthrough that was a long time coming, and now that's come through, there's a lot of excitement when there's big changes, and then when you're done, it's kind of this letting down feeling of like, wow, that was exhausting, or wow, that was exhilarating. But you come home at the end of the day and then you need to kind of relax and recuperate. So that's the kind of feeling I was getting with you guys, is that it's a wonderful time to celebrate all the efforts and all the growth and all these changes in your life. But also, when it's all said and done, you come home, you lay in bed by yourself, or have a moment to yourself, and it's when the real work begins. It's when, wow, we made this big shift, but now I have to really dig deep and transform myself and look inward and kind of see what I'm made of now. What do I really have to offer? Can I live up to these new changes, and to do the long-term preparation of this work moving forward, now that kind of initial excitement's out of the way. It's like getting the job, but then you get into the job and it's like, do I have what it takes to do this? What do I need to do? Do I need to educate myself more? Do I need to prepare myself more? And then also just on an emotional level, when we go through big changes, again, you have that, initial excitement, right? But then you have to live with it emotionally also. So you start noticing that your life's changing, and you are like, oh wow, I kind of missed, something I didn't think I missed. I kind of missed a little bit, or maybe everything that was replaced isn't fully replaced yet. That you went a whole new direction, and now there's things missing that used to fill these spaces before, and slowly, over time, you're going to take the time to kind of fill in the blanks and create new opportunity. Now, don't ever get bummed out about that stuff, because as we go through those things, it's an opportunity for new energy. We can get really stagnant having all these kind of buckets filled in our life, and when we go through these changes, it gives us an opportunity to have some space and breathing room, and kind of renew and refresh ourselves. So anyway, so that's the general theme there. You have the Four of Swords. I'm sorry, so not Four of Swords. Four of Wands as your primary card. So that's why I was saying there's this kind of celebration. I guess it's out of focus there. Yeah, so there's kind of like a celebration or coming home kind of vibe here. A reason to kind of get together with people and celebrate. So holidays are a great time to do that. You're going to see family and friends. You can say, oh, I got that new job. This is how it's going. I went through this transition. This is how it's going. So it's a great opportunity to talk about it and get some insight. Maybe you'll have some feedback or insight that you don't expect that will help you on this new journey. So, and then covering that, or the theme, or what's influencing it, is the High Priestess in reverse. And that's really trusting your intuition. Now that you're in this new cycle, it might feel a little like wobbly or kind of unsure at times, and just to go ahead and trust your intuition and go inward and have that quiet time to really reflect on how you're moving forward. So anyway, so that's the primary focus of your reading here. And what we're going to go ahead and do is finish off the rest of your cards here. So let's see what's going on in your spiritual realms. Let's see what's going on in your subconscious realms. Let's see what's going on in your recent past. Let's see what's going on in your upcoming future. Let's see what's going on in your attitude about this situation. And move some stuff around here. Let's see what's going on in your immediate environment. Let's see what's going on in your greatest hopes and your greatest fears. And let's see the outcome card. This is great. So you're creating a foundation for yourself in the world. You're creating a sense of being able to take a sigh of relief and see what you've earned and what you've created. So in the spiritual realms, it seems like you're really in this process of developing your higher expression, your more divine expression, who you really are, your purpose for being here in the world. That's not driven by ego. This is who you really are, and learning to cultivate these skills. Sometimes we can have jobs that aren't necessarily what our dream jobs are, or purposes that don't seem like our dream jobs, but they provide an opportunity for us to really develop ourselves as people, and provides us an opportunity to really be that higher person. So at the end of the day, time is really the mastery of patience, and ultimately our expression here is the mastery of the higher values. So what that means is that, in the material world, in the monkey world, I like to call it, our man's world, our values tend to be around money, finances, looks, having the right woman, the right man, the fancy car, the fancy job, the fancy clothes, whatever that might be. So the higher values tend to be values that are based on things that really feed us. These are altruistic values. It's love, compassion, grace, forgiveness. And it sounds kind of boring if that's not really your thing, but once you kind of pursue the dead ends of man's world and you recognize that it really doesn't serve you, then we have this spiritual awakening, and we want to serve a higher purpose, a higher expression. And that higher purpose, that higher expression is really cultivating those higher values, patience, all the ones I just said. And when we do that, we start cultivating something that's of true value. Even though we can't see it, it's something of a spiritual nature. It's invisible. And so what's happening in your spiritual realms, or the higher realms, is this you kind of honing this craft and really developing who that person is. And so, I think you may have been in an experience for kind of a prolonged amount of time to really to help you recognize that there was things about it that weren't necessarily your highest expression. And now you have this new opportunity that's presenting you an opportunity to really dig deeper into who you are. And I think you might be having more heartfelt connections and more meaningful connections with people, and provide you an opportunity to develop these aspects of your character. On the subconscious realms, it's really interesting. Another craft card. I think that you've kind of you thought it was one thing, and now you're kind of honing it to another direction as far as what this expression is. In the past, it looks like you're moving away from these ego-based ideas in your mind. Your thinking's changing in your mind about how you're approaching, your purpose. In the near future here, it looks like you're well established. It looks like you're not really starting anything new. You're just taking this new journey and making the most of it. Your attitude around it is really wonderful. It's the Hierophant, and that's a very spiritual card. It's a masculine spiritual card. It can also represent like old school religion and structure and things of that sort, but it seems like you're taking your spirituality seriously in regards to this new direction in your life. And all that really means is that you're listening to your inner voice, and when we're younger, there's this inner voice that nags at us, but we ignore it. And as we get older, we recognize that there really isn't anything more valuable than that, than responding to that voice. So, you're learning to listen to that inner voice, and you're taking it seriously. The Hierophant says, I'm taking this serious. And you recognize that you can nurture your soul through this spiritual journey. Your immediate environment, Three of Wands in reverse. I think it's this ending of this longing or desire for something that's beyond who you really are, or really what you need. And I think you're recognizing that on this new path here. Greatest hopes and greatest fears is making a true emotional connection. That it's something you really want, but it's also when you're vulnerable and you start to really open up and express yourself more of who you are to the world, it can also be really vulnerable too, and you can worry that you're not going to make that connection. And I think the lesson here is really just discernment. Is that you can reach out and want to really connect with someone in their heart, but if you're not recognizing that somebody doesn't share those values, then that can leave you in a place of feeling kind of surprised or disappointed. So the lesson here is, as you develop your values and live your values, it's going to be a lot easier to recognize what other people are valuing, and being able to discern who to invest time in and who's going to give that back to you. So your final outcome here is the Four of Pentacles. So that's really creating a solid foundation for you in the world, and that's a really beautiful thing. The only thing you want to be aware of here is that the shadow side of this card can also represent a little bit of like you when you achieve something, you kind of want to be the king in a sense, and that's somebody who's wise enough to recognize that what they have is a gift, and that ultimately we want to bring other people into our success. And the Four of Pentacles can the shadow side of it can be a little bit of proudness in the fact that you finally achieve something, and that's something that's really natural early on when we finally arrive, right? Like when we finally achieve something, we want everyone to know, look, I did all this hard work and all that. But that gets a little old, and then we want to start sharing it. So just be aware that as you come into your structure, is to appreciate and have gratitude for what you've achieved, and start to look at how you can start sharing the benefits you've received and giving that out, giving that away and sharing that in the long run. So anyway, so that's your reading, Leo. It looks like you're doing a great job. I mean, enormous work, a lot of gifts coming your way for efforts, and you're moving into a high expression. Congratulations. Happy holidays, and in spirit, I guess just keep that spirit of giving out there. And you receive for the holidays is find ways to give. All right, happy holidays, and I'll see you next year.